Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports.
Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports with Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval.
Bird Gang, welcome back to another edition of Cardinals Corner. That's Lauren Koval. I'm Tyler Drake. You're back. We're back. And we're here to talk about NFC West, kind of a roundup, I would say. So first of all, Lauren, how are we doing today?
We're doing well. I was out at opening day all day yesterday.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so we broadcasted live on the field from 2 to 6. Had a bunch of players, guests stop by, all that jazz. Got to see BP live down on the field, which was very fun for me. And then covered the game, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, I was out there until about 11 p.m., and my feet really hurt today. But besides that, we're all really good.
Nice. Yeah, Burns and Gambo had a ton of guests come through. Tori had a game of catch with Gambo as well that I saw.
A tradition unlike any other.
You say that very well. But yeah, you can catch all that on ArizonaSports.com, the Arizona Sports app, all of that, YouTube. Go check it out for sure. But we're not here to talk about the Diamondbacks, even though baseball's back and we couldn't be happier. We're here to talk about the Cardinals, not the St. Louis Cardinals, the Arizona Cardinals, and NFC West time. I know we've kind of gone through free agency. We've gone through kind of the draft needs. I thought today would be a good idea to take a step back and kind of revisit the NFC West landscape after a lot of movement.
And a lot of inter-conference movement, a lot of NFC West trading with NFC West and people ending up in new spots. I'm looking at you, Cooper Kupp.
Yep. So let's just go through it. So obviously we know what the Cardinals did. Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, those are the big signings. The departure side of things, really just a trio of defensive linemen. That's the big one. Naquan Jones, Kyrie's Tonga, Roy Lopez. Outside of that, it's been pretty quiet on that front. I think they took a big step forward. But let's look at the Rams first. Let's take a look there. When you look at what the Rams have done, because you mentioned Cooper Kupp, we'll get to the other side of that. Let's start with the departure first. How do you feel like the Rams have done filling that role that Cooper Kupp is leaving behind?
Not well.
No,
but I also feel like that's not what they need to focus on. Like, that's not the Rams' biggest concern is Kupp. They were phasing Kupp out anyway. There was a tweet that came across the day that they traded him that was looking at his catch percentage over the past 3 years, and that dramatic fall off from each season kind of highlights, like, yeah, as much as we as fans might think of Cooper Kupp, or as Cardinals fans go, wow, Cooper Kupp can destroy us. Like, he's a true downfield threat. Like, he really opens up their offense. He hasn't really been in that role for a few years, and Puka Nacua stepped into that role. And that's somebody that they're, like, really banking their future on. I mean, he went on a podcast last week and said, I'm going to retire at 30.
Yeah, so 7-year future.
Yeah, so, like, he's already like, here's my NFL plan. Something that I think Cooper Kupp and many members of also the San Francisco 49ers thought, we're staying with our team and, like, this is where our future is and I will end my career here. Didn't happen to be the case.
Yeah, so Kupp's gone. We'll get to the team that he goes to here in just 1 second. But instead, they bring in Davante Adams, though. That's a heck of a fill-in, I think. We got to see if he can get away from the shadow of Aaron Rodgers. That's the big one there. But he's still got some game.
I can't decide if I think of Davante Adams as the wide receiver that he actually is, or if I let, like, his performance of years past and how he is elite shade how I think of him now, because he hasn't really been great in a few years.
He's hitched that wagon to Aaron Rodgers, though, and it just hasn't worked out.
Don't
worked
do
well
it.
in Green
Tanks
Bay.
you.
Worked well in Green Bay. Not so much after that. But then they also went out and got Poona Ford, which I think is a really good addition there. So, and not really an addition, kept Matthew Stafford around. That's got to be the biggest move that they made this offseason, is making sure that they've got their Super Bowl winning quarterback in town, moving forward, and he's happy. So Rams are still very much, they moved forward in my eyes.
Yeah, especially the drama surrounding Matthew Stafford this offseason when he's like, I'm requesting a trade. I want to get out of here. And the Rams are like, actually,
We'll just restructure.
We'll just restructure and you'll be fine. Also, the Rams, yes, this free agency isn't incredibly splashy for them. Yes, they let people go. But the one thing that the Rams always do well is draft. They are a great drafting team.
And they got a good head coach.
And they got a really good head coach who can remember every single play he's ever called. So
There's something to say about that.
Yeah. With that in mind, I think if you're a Rams fan, you don't really have to worry about free agency all that much. Look towards the draft.
Yeah. And I mean, just imagine Poona Ford with a guy like Jared Verse. Ooh. They added where they needed to add for sure without really going crazy. So they definitely took a step forward. I am not so sure about Seattle, where Cooper Kupp will now be playing.
With a new quarterback.
With a new quarterback in Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of change going on there, offensively especially.
A lot of change that I think it's fair to say doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't line up. I don't know.
Oh, and Metcalf got traded.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett's released.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
everybody who I think of, like, the Seattle Seahawks team of, like, we're going to the Super Bowl, we're dominating the NFC West. All those people, gone.
Yeah, haven't heard much from them lately.
No, like, that team doesn't exist anymore. And sort of the next building blocks of that Seahawks team, you saw them get Metcalf, and you were like, wow, they're just building up a really dominant wide receiver core, and that never panned out for them.
Non-existent now.
Yeah.
And then they lost Laken Tomlinson too. Stone Forsythe. Their offensive line is going to be the biggest. Like, it might work out with Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp. That offensive line might not be able to keep him upright a lot.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if the
doesn't matter,
offensive line works
exactly.
out. Also, Sam Darnold, like, loves to hold the ball just a little bit too long. So prepare to meet the turf a lot.
And if that defense takes any kind of step backward, I think they're going to be last place. I really do, because the defense is their bread and butter right now. I don't think they're taking a step back. They've got too many good pieces there, but if that were to happen, that's where I think, oh yeah, Seattle is bottom of the barrel for sure.
I like Mike McDonald. I think that at least some people, me included, were kind of surprised by how well last season went for them. While they had a few moving pieces and a few sort of, what are they going to do this offseason? People knew Metcalf wasn't happy at the end of last year. And still they, made it happen. They worked it out.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And then we get to the problem child of the NFC West free agency frenzy and the San Francisco 49ers, because holy cow, talk about exodus.
It was basically a yard sale. It felt like they walked outside the stadium and they were like, who do you want? You can have anybody.
When you lose a guy like Hufanga, big time loss, Greenlaw, Leonard Floyd, Hargrave, which that was kind of an iffy thing already. But then you trade off Debo, Jordan Mason, see you later. And then you bring in their biggest signing of free agency, tight end Luke Farrell, a blocking tight end. Not taking anything away from blocking tight ends, but when you lose that kind of talent, you're expected to at least bring some decent talent back. And I think it's safe to say that is not the case.
No, I'm another team where I'm puzzled by their moves. Yes, some of those players that you just listed off are older and are going to phase out of the league soon. And you just don't want to pay them. And that's fine. That happens around the NFL all the time. You can't have everybody leave and decide not to fill those gaps with players who either have a little bit of experience or what I think even the Cardinals got like a little stuck in is like, oh, you're a rookie, but you're in a position of need, so we're just going to throw you out on the field. Like, good luck. That kind of feels like what the 49ers are getting close to, and that's not good.
I mean, if that's the case, the Super Bowl window that had been there for a couple years, that's shut, locked.
Done.
Might be broken. Like, it ain't getting open again. And then you're going to pay Brock. You have to pay Brock.
Yeah.
The Niners are heading downhill fast.
And how much do you pay Brock?
That's the thing, because he's going to want his money.
And that's kind of.
And I think he deserves his money.
Okay, do you? You think he deserves his money?
I do. The kid has gone from Mr. Irrelevant to taking them to the Super Bowl. Yes, they didn't get it done there, but I still think he has more than warranted getting paid. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's going to be it's not going to break the bank like the Josh Allens of the world, or I can't think of the numbers off the top of my head, but I don't think it's going to be to that extent. He's going to get paid, but they've got to, I mean, we've seen it. Quarterback has got to get locked up. We're seeing it with, I mean, that's why we're talking about Seattle. What do we know about this whole quarterback moving? Is Sam Darnold really going to be an addition or a subtraction from what Gino's already brought to that team? It's going to be interesting for sure. And so I'm ranking it this way because it comes down to Rams and Cardinals for free agency winners. It's offseason, I know. It's on paper only, not on the field. But I'm kind of leaning towards the Cardinals because I think in terms of improving without absolutely spending way more than you need to, I think they did it. You get Josh Sweat under 100, get Dalvin Tomlinson on a great deal too. That leads the way there. So I'm slightly giving the edge to the Cardinals, but the Rams are right there because I think they retooled enough to where they can keep going how they've been.
I think you explained it really well because I think the Cardinals had the best free agency. And in NFC West, they kind of had an uneventful free agency. I mean, it was eventful in terms of like players leaving and moving around, but in terms of bringing in new players, fairly uneventful. Or you're the Seahawks and you're still incredibly confused and don't realize you're playing football. But that being said, I think the Cardinals had the best free agency. I am not going to pick the Cardinals to win the NFC West.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second.
I just think that they had the best free agency.
All right. Well, you just segued that perfectly because, yes, despite having the undisputed, we'll just say it, undisputed better free agency than everybody else, best free agency than everybody else, Cardinals are still projected to have the worst win total or finish last or tied for last in the NFC West by a lot of sports books and people around the league. And that's even with a 2-game increase on their over-under win total of 8.5.
Why do you think that is?
Here's the thing that I don't get. I think these numbers need to be adjusted. And I'm just going to say it right now. They still have San Francisco winning the division. They still have San Francisco winning over 10.5 games. I cannot get on board with that. I don't agree with that. So as much as we can look at this, and we're going to talk about it, it just doesn't sit well with me. If we're going to really do it, I'd put the Rams up there first. And then I'd put very close numbers between Cardinals and Niners. And then I think I have Seattle at last. It's baffling to see the Niners still by a good chunk. I mean, I think the Rams were 9.5 games. Niners 10.5 games. Rams, I think, were around 8.5 games, 8 games, something around there. I just can't see it happening for the Niners this year.
No, the one thing that the Niners have going for them is that they came in last
The schedule
year.
will help. The schedule will help.
So their schedule is beneficial to them. They will play.
The schedule's going to help the Cardinals too, though.
Yeah, but when you look at the differences between the teams in third and the
True.
teams in fourth,
True.
there's a dramatic fall off this year based off of you would rather be the Niners who have to play the fourth tier teams that feel like they made little improvements during free agency versus those in third, where a few of those teams were pretty successful in their movements. And that being said, I would rather be able to play the 49ers schedule. It all came down to one game last year. Cardinals finished in third, Niners finished in fourth. And so I'm excited to see how much that benefits the 49ers and may hurt the Cardinals, or does that mean nothing by the time the season rolls around?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because, the schedule's definitely going to play a part. And you look at it, I mean, okay, let's just get right into it. If you're looking at 8.5 wins, are you going over that mark or are you going under that mark? Here's some of the opponents. Falcons, Panthers, Jags, Titans, Packers, NFC West, Texans, Colts, Bucks, Saints, Cowboys, Bengals, NFC West.
That's not a bad schedule.
I'm going over slightly.
Over slightly?
Over slightly.
Okay.
They have to go over slightly. I think that's the baseline. I think 9 wins is a baseline now. Actually, honestly, I think 10 wins is a baseline now.
Oof. You're getting into dangerous territory.
If you're
over
gonna
there.
go spend, you gotta produce on the field.
Do you think that those ratings from other people talking about the Cardinals, giving out their win totals, where they think that they're going to finish in the NFC West, are sort of skewed by the national storyline of, is Kyler Murray good?
I think probably, and I think just seeing the trend of second half collapses, Yeah, go do your thing for 8 games, but then if you fall apart for the last 9, you're right there at that number. So it makes sense. It really does.
Yeah, and that's what it's looked like the past few seasons. So I think when you listed those off quickly, 8.5 does feel like that middle ground for them. Like that's the baseline you have to hit,
Mm-hmm.
and you hope that you exceed that. But you also hope that the NFC West is what you think it is.
Yeah. Yeah. You hope that Seattle and San Francisco are down there fighting for a last spot and you're fighting with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, you get in a wild card spot. Like, that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a fun NFC West roundup for sure. There are a lot of moving pieces. I mean, we didn't even get to every single player that is in or out.
No, and it'll be fun to revisit this following the draft.
Mm-hmm.
See if somebody made a splashy trade or grabbed somebody that we both really like, and maybe that shoots up their stock. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thanks again for stopping by. As always, make sure to follow Lauren at Koval_Lauren. I
Nailed
almost
Nailed
lost it
it.
there. Follow me at T Drake for Sports. Follow the show at AZ Cards Corner. And as always, go follow everything Arizona Sports is doing, the Arizona Sports app, ArizonaSports.com, and 98.7, all the latest interviews from all the sports around the valley, around Arizona. Find them there. And yeah, also, pulling cards. Another round in. Maybe we did better this time than last week.
Last year.
Oh man, it's
Oof.
Friday.
Oof, last year. Yeah.
So
the
definitely
the record's changed.
the record has changed. So definitely go check that out on social media. I will be posting that. Cardinals Corner will be posting that, and we'll be back next week to bring you more about the Arizona Cardinals. See you next week.